Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. Happy Saturday. What a feeling it is to have played on a Friday night, have collected 3 points, and to enjoy a full weekend. I don't think we've enjoyed a full Saturday and Sunday without stressing in a very long while. And I miss this feeling. We can relax, we can enjoy other games, we can enjoy the Australian Open. We can enjoy absolutely everything. And of course, focusing on a very important week, which will see us battle AZ Alkmaar on Thursday in our second to last Europa League group stage game. And of course, Udinese away next weekend, an extremely complicated away game. But we will come to these games this week. Quite a lot of things to talk about today. Number one, Davy Rensch. Fabrizio Romano's confirmed that he's one step away from joining us. He's apparently going to land in Rome on Monday at the start of a new week to carry out his medicals. I'm going to give my last thoughts on him. You know me, I'm not fully convinced on him, but I've built an opinion on not just the player, but on the signing itself. And I think everybody here has built their own opinions on him. Maybe if you've seen clips, even though you know me, I'm not a fan of judging a player just by watching clips. You need to know about him to ultimately come to a conclusion. But if anybody has seen him, if anybody here is from the Netherlands or is an Ajax supporter, let us know what you guys think and how he's been playing with you guys. And then the second thing, of course, is, as I promised yesterday, tackling Ranieri's words pre-game yesterday, which basically says that he will end with managing at the end of the season. There were a few speculations of, Ghisolfi himself yesterday pre-game going, I will try my best to convince Ranieri to stay one more season. You've got a lot of players who have expressed their desire for Ranieri to stay. And I think this suggests a lot to what Ranieri has brought. And it also suggests a lot on what's next, because you've got a sporting director, Ghisolfi, and you've got Hummels, Dybala, and Manu Kone. All of these three have gone out there in front of the mics at least once and have said how they would love for Ranieri to stay another season and to continue their trajectory with Ranieri as a manager. And we'll surely speak about that today. But look, hello everybody in the chat and in the stream. If you've got questions, as always, these little post-game live streams, I like to keep them a bit more chilled. So if you've got any questions, any, good questions which can start debates and all of it, pop them in the live chat. As always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We're 10 subscribers away from 14.4k. It would be great if we can hit it by the start of Monday. Traveling to the Netherlands, it would be great. So get yourself subscribed and do hit the like button. Right, let's start with Fabrizio's statement, because Fabrizio Romano says AS Roma are closing in on the deal for Devni, sorry, not Davy Rensch, Devni Rensch. An agreement with Ajax is now at final stages for the right back. There's a small gap on final details and then the deal can be closed. AS Roma working on it after the green light from the player. So we're effectively there. It's effectively a done deal. Under all effects, it's a done deal. We will have our new right back next week. Will he be able to start next weekend? I don't know. I don't think so. But we've tackled one of the positions that we needed in this winter transfer session to cover. And that position, of course, is a right back. Again, I don't want to repeat what I said in the last video when we talked about him. But the fact that a lot of people who have worked at Ajax and who know Ajax very well have kind of given a red flag to this signing does worry me a bit. You've got Marco van Basten last week, releasing an interview saying how this guy basically commits a mistake in basically every game he plays. And today, you've got another interview from Ajax old manager, I can't remember his name, he basically said, word by word, Davy Rensch commits one mistake at least in every single game. I don't know why Roma would be interested in him. I trust these people who have seen him play, who have worked with him, who have managed him, more than fans who've never seen him play, who are trying to be positive and going, you know what, we have to give him time, and everything. I don't want to burn him, because I'm the first one to say that players need time, especially at Roma, with this complicated environment, with fans, which put a lot of pressure on you. So, yes, he will need time. Whether he's a good player or a bad player, he does need time. But the fact that so many people have given negative comments and negative, analysis on him is a red flag. And also the fact that if fans, people really do call him an upcoming star, a gem, number one, why would Ajax let him go? Number two, why are we the only ones interested in him? This deal stinks. The reality bite, in my opinion. I mean, we'll get the reality bite when we see him and judge him after a few chances, whether it's going to be a good reality bite or a bad reality bite. But, this still does stink. I am not convinced by any means about him. And again, I've never seen him play, but I am basing myself on what people say and build a judgment around him. And from what people gather who work in the Netherlands, know Dutch football and all of it, he's not nothing special. And remember, Dutch football to Italian football is a step up. So if people say that he's not good in Dutch football in a farmers league, I can only imagine what he'll be like in an Italian league, who's very tactical, very, very, very tactical league. And a league where moments decide football games. Defensive mistake can grab you 3 points or make you lose 3 points. So, look, I expected better. I have to be honest with you. I expected not only a better signing on the right back, but I expected more from this January transfer window. I expected more. I expected better. And most importantly, I expected more, because we knew what we needed. Not even in January. We knew what we needed in June. We knew that we needed a good right back, a dominant right back. In June, we decided not to get a dominant right back this summer. And now we are forced. Now we've played 5 months of football with a bad right back, because Salamakers only came back 1 month ago from his injury, 2 months ago. Now, in the January transfer window, you need to tackle the right back, and you're getting somebody who is nothing special. I expected more. Look, I agree. Our season is this season. This club right now won't attract the big players. I fully agree. But I do think that sometimes you have to be better. And even if maybe your club right now isn't very ambitious, because, let's be honest with ourselves, it's not. Roma right now is not ambitious. Roma sitting 10th can't be an ambitious destination for players to come. For good players especially. So this is where you need to get the best out of your scouts. This is where you need to get the best out of people who know football. And I doubt Ghisolfi. I have a lot of question marks on him. I don't think he's a good sporting director. And I mean, we will judge him. I think this January window will be the ultimate call to whether he stays or not. Because if he flops in this January window as well and brings in players that are just not good enough, then I'm sorry, but he's just not good enough and he needs to go. And we need somebody better. So this winter window is also, in my opinion, to judge Ghisolfi and to judge Ghisolfi's work, because up to now, it's not been good. It's been very disappointing. And most importantly, it's been very slow. It's been very delayed. That's my issue. My issue here is it's just so slow. It's just so slow. It's just too slow. It's too slow. You've got players, direct opponents of you, who are getting players after players, who are getting better players than you. and are ultimately going to increase the gap between you and them. You need to be smart. You need to be quick. How many times have we said this? And yet how many times are we here repeating the same mistakes? But again, I'm not surprised, because I've been doubting Gizofi since this summer. Maybe not this summer, but especially since September, October. I knew that the signings that we carried out this summer were not that special, were not that good. Some of them are very good signings, but the majority of them are signings that we either could have avoided or probably could have done better. Dan Vedster, thank you very much for your super chat. Hi Simo, it's my birthday today. I'm 17. I love your vids. Happy birthday, mate. And thank you very much for the super chat. Everybody spam hashtag happy birthday to Dan Vedster in the live chat. Happy birthday to you. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate it. But yeah, moving on. Look, we'll see. We'll see who he is. We will see what he can be. I would love to be proved wrong, and I'll put my face on these videos if I get proved wrong. But yeah. By the way, I wrote this on my Instagram. This guy is identical to Justin Kluivert. Like, look at his linear, look at his, like, the shape of his face, and, like, the touches, his genes, and you can't tell me that Justin Kluivert and this guy are not identical twins. I'm not believing you. They're identical. They are absolutely identical. Speaking about Kluivert, scored a hat-trick today. I rated Kluivert. I always liked Kluivert. Kluivert, there you go. Another example of a player that we're not patient with and that we burn away. I've always liked Justin Kluivert. And it's not a surprise that the second he goes to a club with no pressure, he outperforms the majority of Premier League clubs. So many of these players have come to us in these past seasons that I could name you. I mean, I could name you 5 in the space of 3 seconds. Justin Kluivert. Hang on, I don't have them on the top of my head, but I can name you a few. Sule's gonna have the same exact career. Who else? We have a few. Patrick Schick. Help me out. We've got more coming. I don't have them on the top of my head. I won't waste your time, but there are plenty of names of players that were simply not patient with us, and then they leave us, and they are absolutely phenomenal. Right, let me read a few comments. We're gonna take a chilled one today, and then we'll speak about the Ranieri topic, which I think is very interesting. Top 3 dream away days with Roma. Oh, that's such a hard question. Literally any away day. Like, I would pay to have a life traveling the world to follow my football club. That's ultimately peak life and making videos. No, but look, there are away games which I kind of like. There are away games that I tend to see as you need to visit once, because they are very rarely gonna happen, and they're like once in a life. Like, you have to do them before you die. 100 football games you want to watch before you die. Those type of games, like going to the new camp and watch Barcelona, Roma, or, you know, going to the Bernabeu and watching Real Madrid, Roma. Those are elite away days that you want to do one day, but not in terms of atmosphere. You know, I would not put Real Madrid and Barcelona on top in terms of atmosphere. I'd put them, you know, to visit monumental stadiums and to obviously face the best teams in the world and watch world-class players play in front of you. In terms of atmosphere away games, there's so many that I would love to go to one day. Like, there's just so many. Like, I could name you 23. Dortmund Roma is like on top, very, very on top of the list. But, you know, actually an away game that not many people would say, but it's probably my number 1 pick. I would have to go with a potential Olympic Marseille against Roma. Like, I have never seen anything like Olympic Marseille fans. When I went to Marseille last season, we went to watch the Marseille PSG, like biggest game in France. I've never seen anything like Marseille fans. I have never seen anything like those fans. And that stadium is the best stadium I've ever been to. It's so nice. Like, Marseille fans are brutal, but not brutal like violent. They are violent, but when I use the word brutal, I mean like the banners that they display, the choreographies that they display, they are brutal. Like, they scare you. And they've got very deep like political meanings behind. Yeah, Olympic Marseille away is probably my number one pick. It's like I can't. I've been flabbergasted by Marseille fans. I've never seen anything like Marseille fans. What do you think is the problem with Roma this year? Like, who do you think is the problem, and what do you think is the solution? Well, the problem are the owners. The problem are the owners, and then from the owners, there are other problems. You know, the problem is the owners, and then from the owners, you've got so many other problems that branch out. You've got the fact that these owners have appointed people which don't know nothing about football in the first place. Lina Saluku, or should I go Lina Saluku? And especially people who don't know anything about Italian football, and then, you know, signing bad players and everything. So the problem is that you're run by billionaires who really don't understand this club. That's the problem. But again, I'm also aware that to solve this problem, you need to sell the club. There are other problems that you can solve, because at the end of the day, we have achieved some big things with the Fredkins, like the Europa League final, the Conference League trophy, having bought players like Dybala. Yes, I will recognize some good things that they did, but in the last 306, within the space of the last 365 days, they just bulldozed and demolished every single thing that they did. So how can I praise them? Like, it's like when you and your siblings were young, you're building a Lego tower, you're spending a lot of time building it, and then your sibling comes in and he just kicks it down. Like, fuck you. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, stick your head in the toilet. That's what I would say. There is no need, and there is no need to praise the successes if then they are completely and utterly demolished in the space of 1 year. So yes, we've achieved some good things, but they've demolished every progress that we had. So how can I praise them? So the problem are them. Then there are other problems, and I won't name them all because it take me about 30 years. What do you think? Yeah, we read that. I'm just happy that we're getting better. The team looks way better now versus the team under Juric, says Jorge. Kluivert was a bowler at Roma. Cengiz Under. Cengiz Under was good with us though. Like, he pulled some great goals. Bruno Perez was a meme. Like, Bruno Perez was a meme. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't good. Like, he just stands out now because we don't have any good right backs, and if you put him instead of our right backs, we'd be good. But he wasn't a good player. Like, he was a bit, yeah. Any updates on signing a new striker? No updates on a new striker. What's side status? Why isn't he not playing again? He had a great start. Rensch and Kluivert are both of the Surinamese descent. Are the Fredkins turning their business towards Everton more than Roma? No, because the fact that they've put two people who aren't themselves in charge of Everton is a good move for us. I mean, is it? If you want them to sell the club, then I guess it's not. I don't think it is. I mean, no, I don't think that's the problem. The problem is the fact that they don't care about this club. That's the problem. It's not the fact that they've bought another club. It just isn't. Like, that will only be a problem if Everton qualify in the same European Championship as us, and then that can't happen, so they need to sell one of the two clubs, or one of the two clubs gets disqualified. But for Everton to get in Europe, I'll be married with 5 kids when Everton get European football, so that won't be a problem as of now. Right, not wasting time. Moving on to the other discussion, of course, this polar opposite of statements, Ranieri releasing an interview saying how this is going to be his last season managing, and he's then going to officially retire, and then of course take the job internally at Roma to add structure to the board. And then you've got Ghisolfi pre-match, who went, I'm trying his best to, to convince Claudio to stay one more season. Now, look, I think there were 2 reasons as to why, as much as I love him, it's just not the right decision to just convince him to stay one more season. The number one is a human problem. Like, as much as he loves this job, and as much as he would manage Roma until eternity, you have to be realistic. Like, he needs a break. He's done it at a manager level in the world of football. Let the man rest. Let the man have a more delicate job, calm job inside this club in terms of the decision making. Being a manager is not, people look at the manager, oh, there, he's just on the touchline giving directions. No, a manager needs to wake up early every day. A manager needs to get back home very late every day. A manager needs to, be around the players every single day for about every single hour. His weekends are off because, it's not an easy job, and it's not an easy job for of someone of Ranieri's age. Number 2 is, in my opinion, it's a practical issue. If you gave Ranieri, and if you've decided to give Ranieri an internal job, then keeping him as a manager does not work out. Because let's say I'll give you this scenario, and then I'm going to ask you if it makes sense, and it won't make sense, which is why the practicality of this doesn't make sense. Let's say Ranieri stays. Ranieri stays one more season, and things don't go well. Let's say Ranieri stays, and things don't go well. Does Ranieri sack himself? Because Ranieri's been named by the Fredkin as the person who decides the future manager, who helps and has a big say in building and reconstructing and making Roma great again. So if things don't go well, does Ranieri just sack himself? Okay, things aren't going well, I'm going to sack myself. And in doing this, you'd have to keep a sacked manager inside the club to help the board. It's just, if you want to keep Ranieri, then you need to cancel the contract. You need to cancel the part in the contract which says that after being a manager, he works for Roma. Because, what happens? He sacks himself because things don't go well, and then he works for Roma inside choosing a new manager. It just practically it won't make sense. And I would much rather end the season with Ranieri and have him inside the board, not as manager. Because we need somebody like Ranieri internally way more than we probably need Ranieri as a manager. You can get another good manager. But if a good manager has Ranieri's support, Ranieri's decision, and Ranieri's influence around him, I think it's going to be much better. So, you know what I mean? It's this practical issues which, at the end of the day, I don't think it will happen. Look, don't get me wrong. I would love for him to stay one more season, especially if managers like Montella need to come in, or I was reading the rumors of Farioli at Ajax. If these are the managers that you were bringing in, then I agree. I would much rather stick with Ranieri. But then again, the manager dilemma is not an easy one, because look, I would have bet my money on Allegri being our new manager next season. I would have bet my savings on Allegri being named as Roma manager next season. But apparently now he's one step away from Al Ahly in the Saudi, confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. So I'm like, who do we bring? I would have bet my family on Allegri being our manager next season. So now that Allegri is one step away from Saudi, I'm like, have they really contacted any manager? Do they know who they're getting? In terms of who I want, it's hard. It's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy because, you see, I'm stuck between two roads here. I'm stuck on a crossroad which goes, do I want a Mourinho, an Allegri, an Ancelotti, or do I want a De Zerbi, an Italiano, a Farioli type of manager? And it's a decision which you will have to make one day, because it defines your future. The manager pick defines what you want to achieve next season, in 2 years, in 3 years. It does. Because if you appoint Allegri or if you appoint Ancelotti, your project will look very different from if you appoint De Zerbi. And your transfer window will also look very different. And your budget will probably look also very different. So, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. De Zerbi and Italiano are managers that I don't mind. If we need to go with the modern stereotype, then I wouldn't mind Italiano and De Zerbi, because I think it's time to base out a long-term project. Again, I don't trust this because we had it with De Rossi, as I always say, and you've threw it away after 3 weeks. But I'm like, if you want a long-term, a young player project, then you appoint De Zerbi or Italiano. You appoint Sartori as sporting director, and next to Sartori you put Ranieri. And that can be a good structure for a working long-term project, because you've got Sartori who knows who to get and knows how much money to spend for players. You've got De Zerbi and Italiano, which are very good at developing young players. But again, the problem with the young project is, will it last in a club like Roma? I don't think it will, because we're not patient. We're not patient. We're simply not patient. So the young project is a very delicate one at Roma. And then you've got the proven manager, which is immediate success. It can be an Ancelotti, it can be an Allegri, but with it, you also need to bring in good players and a high budget. So if you decide to appoint Allegri or Ancelotti, then you need to be determined in spending a lot of money, and most importantly, making the manager's demands satisfied. Because, if you appoint Ancelotti to have an Italiano type project, then that's where the confusion comes in and you won't succeed. Which is why I think Ancelotti won't work out. As much as it's a very big name and it attracts us, I don't think it would work out. Because in order to succeed with Ancelotti, you need to satisfy all of his demands and you need to give him a massive budget. Our budget wasn't that low last summer, yes, but with a manager like Allegri and Ancelotti, it probably needs to be double that. So again, it depends. I don't know what we want. It depends. It's not an easy decision to make. And it's not a decision that will take 24 hours for you to come up with. It needs to be a decision where you sit down and you look at a lot of different aspects before coming to the conclusion. And one of these aspects is also a future scouting department, and a new director of football, because Ghisolfi is simply not good enough if you need De Zerbi as a manager. It's just not good enough. I don't know. I mean, the reason why, in my opinion, a lot of players have gone out and said that they want Ranieri to stay is because Ranieri has changed something in here, more than tactically. He's changed something in here, and I think the players are also spotting that when the manager is backed by the fans, they also perform way better. And which is why you need Ranieri. If it's not manager next season, you need Ranieri in the club. Because one of the biggest issues that the Fredkins had committed before appointing Ranieri is eliminating all influences and all elements of individuals who were very aware of the Roman reality, who knew the Roma culture, the Roma tradition, the Roma passion very well. So one of the mistakes that they made was wanting to be less dependent on people who know this club off the top of their tongue. And that's ultimately why they've regretted sacking De Rossi and why they've appointed Ranieri. Because in those months of football where we appointed Juric and nobody around Juric knew anything, including the players, of how Roma works, we all saw the results that we achieved. So the component of Romanism, that's the word, is very important, which is why Ranieri needs to work in, very strict and connected links with the future manager. And with the team, help. Even if Ranieri won't be manager next season, Ranieri should be there, help psychologically, in team talks. Because Ranieri is and knows, and it's ultimately why we're grinding results, what to transmit to these players emotionally. Something which not every manager will be able to do, because this is a very passionate fan base and a very passionate, team to play in, which not many people understand, not many players understand. That's why, and that's, yeah. Thoughts on Simo becoming the manager of Roma. It's good for morale and confidence, but it still needs to mature mentally. Serie A is the most tactical league. We're speaking about Saud here. Yeah, I agree. He needs time. He's another player who needs time. Maresca won't leave Chelsea. Maresca's gonna build a very long-term project at Chelsea. Maresca's gonna be the new Pep of Chelsea, the new Arteta of Chelsea. And that's what they do in England. One of the very big differences from English football and Italian football is that some English clubs, not all, are very patient with the managers. Arteta in Italy, if he followed the same path as he did at Arsenal, would have been sacked after 1 year. And I'm not saying that he's an amazing manager. I think there were better managers. But ultimately, he's brought Arsenal back. And in Italy, Arteta would have been sacked in the first difficulties he faced. Look at Thiago Motta. A lot of Juventus fans want him out. Thiago Motta needs time. Do we think that Thiago Motta brought Bologna to the Champions League last season like this? No, he was there the season before, and they got around 10th position. So, in Italy, there's no concept of being patient. This is also in the Italian national team. There isn't. Just keep Thiago Motta. If I'm a Juventus fan, the last thing I would want is to sack him. Who do you bring in? He needs time. I will guarantee you that if Thiago Motta sticks himself on the bench for 2 more seasons, and if the board doesn't sack him, I can guarantee you that maybe even next season, they will win the league title. Next season, in 2 years' time, they will get back competing with Inter. Thiago Motta hasn't got... The problem with Juventus is the fact that it's such a big mentality club that you either win immediately or you get sacked. They're kind of like Real Madrid. But, then you wouldn't have appointed Thiago Motta if that's the philosophy that you want to believe in. I think Thiago Motta is a great coach. I think he is. But so many of my Juventus friends are like, no, I want Allegri back, Thiago Motta out. He's simply not good enough. He's drawing every single game. No, Thiago Motta in his first season hasn't lost one game in the league. He drew a lot of games, and that's not good. Of course, he could have won a lot of those games, but he's 3 points off top 4. Juventus were never going to win the league this season, so there's no need, in my opinion. If I'm a Juventus fan, I would never be Thiago Motta out right now. If he doesn't achieve what they want in 3 years, then yes, but not now. Right, I'm going to catch you tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get signings. I always say this now, and let's see what we can do. I'm not happy with the transfer window as of now. Right, I'll catch you tomorrow. Do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and Atalanta-Napoli tonight, big one. Whoever wins, in fact, I should say, if Atalanta lose tonight, their league title hopes are crumbling. If Napoli wins, they would put a massive push on Inter. If Atalanta lose tonight, it's between Inter and Napoli. If Atalanta win tonight, it's between Inter, Napoli and Atalanta. It's a big one tonight. Enjoy it. Hit the like button and subscribe. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.